Imagine a man deeply rooted in his beliefs, challenging the very existence of God. His challenge wasn't ordinary, it was a bold and direct demand for scientific proof. If you can scientifically prove the existence of Allah, I will embrace Islam, he declared. This man was a Hindu, and his challenge was aimed at none other than Dr. Zakir Naik, one of the most prominent Islamic scholars of our time. But what happened next? What did Dr. Zakir Naik say in response to such a bold challenge? The answer might leave you speechless. The way the story unfolds will not only surprise you, but might also change how you view the relationship between science and faith. This is an incident that you won't forget, a story that's sure to leave you questioning everything. Peace be upon you, friends of Heartbeats for Allah. It was a quiet afternoon when Sanjay Kumar, a Hindu man known for his unwavering beliefs, made a challenge that would shake the foundation of his entire worldview. Standing before Dr. Zakir Naik after one of his famous lectures, Sanjay declared with confidence, "I have heard your arguments about Islam and the existence of Allah, but I need proof. If you can scientifically prove to me that Allah exists, I will convert to Islam on the spot." The words hung in the air, audacious and daring. This wasn't a mere question or a request for clarification. This was a direct challenge to a man who had made it his life's mission to bridge the gap between science and faith. The crowd around them, silent at first, began to murmur. Dr. Naik, known for his calm, composed demeanor, stood still for a moment, contemplating the weight of the question. He knew that this was no ordinary conversation. It was a moment that could potentially change everything. Would Dr. Naik be able to provide scientific evidence that could convince this skeptic? Could the facts of science, as understood in the modern age, truly align with the teachings of a religion that had been around for over a millennium? What would happen next might not only astonish Sanjay, but also challenge the very notion of faith and reason. As Dr. Naik prepared to respond, the tension in the air was palpable. He understood the gravity of this moment and was ready to meet the challenge head-on, with logic, evidence, and most importantly, a deep understanding of both science and Islam. What would he say? Would his response be enough to convert Sanjay and prove to the world that science and faith could indeed coexist? Dr. Zakir Naik smiled gently and addressed the crowd. "Before I answer your question," he said to Sanjay, "let me first ask you a question. Do you believe in Allah?" Sanjay replied, "Yes, I do. But my neighbor, who is a Brahmin, doesn't. He's an atheist, and he told me to ask you about the scientific proof of Allah's existence. If you can prove it, I will accept Islam." Dr. Naik nodded. "I appreciate you for asking this question," he said. "It shows that you are open to knowledge and willing to seek answers. Most people inherit their beliefs from their parents and never question them. But you are genuinely seeking the truth, and that's commendable." The crowd was paying full attention. This wasn't just about proving the existence of Allah. It was about challenging someone's deeply held beliefs. It was about understanding how faith and science could coexist, something that many people struggle to grasp. Dr. Zakir Naik, with his vast knowledge and calm, methodical approach, understood that bridging the gap between science and faith was essential for answering Sanjay's challenge. For many, the concepts of science and religion appear to be at odds. But Dr. Naik had spent years demonstrating how they could coexist harmoniously. He knew that in order to answer Sanjay's question, he would not just have to rely on religious texts, but also show how scientific discoveries, many of which had only been uncovered in recent times, were already in alignment with the teachings of Islam. Islam, Dr. Naik explained, is a religion that encourages the pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the world around us. It doesn't discourage science or critical thinking. Instead, it promotes exploration and the search for truth. Dr. Naik highlighted examples from the Quran that had been discovered long before modern science validated them, from the development of the embryo to the expanding universe. The Quran contained knowledge that aligned with today's scientific findings. Dr. Naik didn't just see Islam as a system of beliefs. He saw it as a way of understanding the universe, with science serving as a tool to unlock the deeper truths that Islam had long described. For Sanjay, hearing this connection between science and faith was a revelation. It wasn't about blind belief, but about finding truth in both the scientific world and the spiritual realm. This approach, Dr. Naik emphasized, was one of the key ways Islam stands apart, as a faith that welcomes science, seeing it not as a challenge, but as a complementary path to discovering the divine. As Dr. Zakir Naik delved deeper into the scientific evidence, one of the most striking examples he shared was the shape of the Earth, a topic that had puzzled humans for centuries. In the 16th century, it was widely believed that the Earth was flat, but centuries later, scientists discovered that the Earth was round. What amazed Sanjay, however, was that this fact had already been mentioned in the Quran 1,400 years ago, long before modern science had the technology to prove it. Dr. Naik quoted a verse from the Quran, Surah An-Naziat 79:30, which states, "And after that, he spread the earth." The word used for spread in Arabic is dahaha, which literally means to make it like an ostrich egg, describing the Earth's slightly flattened oblate spheroid shape, a scientific fact only confirmed with satellite imagery and space exploration in recent decades. This profound link between ancient scripture and modern scientific discovery left Sanjay in awe. How could such accurate knowledge be contained in a text written over 1,400 years ago, at a time when the Earth's shape was still a mystery to many? Dr. Naik pointed out that such examples, far from being coincidental, were a clear indication of divine insight. For Sanjay, this was a pivotal moment, a point where science and faith met, and the evidence for the existence of Allah was undeniable. Another powerful example that Dr. Zakir Naik shared with Sanjay was the nature of the moon's light, which had been misunderstood for centuries. For a long time, it was believed that the moon emitted its own light, just like the sun. However, with the advancement of scientific knowledge, it was discovered that the moon's light is, in fact, a reflection of the sun's light. This was a major breakthrough in understanding the celestial bodies, and it changed how humans perceive the moon. But what struck Sanjay was that this very concept was mentioned in the Quran 1,400 years ago, long before scientists had the tools to discover it. Dr. Naik cited the Quranic verse from Surah Al-Furqan 25:61. "Blessed is he who made the constellations in the sky and placed therein a lamp, the sun, and a moon giving light." The distinction between the sun's light, which is self-illuminating, and the moon's light, which is reflected, was clearly outlined in the Quran. The Arabic word used for the moon's light, nur, implies a reflective light rather than an original source of light. For Sanjay, this was another mind-blowing revelation. How could this knowledge have been known so long ago, when human understanding of the natural world was so limited? The Quran, as Dr. Naik explained, had described the moon's light as being different from the sun's light, and this subtle but profound difference was later confirmed by modern science. Dr. Naik pointed out that such knowledge could only come from the Creator, further solidifying his belief that Islam was not merely a religion of faith, but one deeply connected to the natural world and its scientific truths. Dr. Zakir Naik then moved on to discuss the Earth's atmosphere, a crucial component that protects life on Earth from the harsh conditions of space. For centuries, people lived without understanding the importance of the atmosphere in safeguarding life. But as modern science advanced, it became clear that the atmosphere acts as a shield, protecting us from harmful ultraviolet radiation, meteors, and extreme temperature fluctuations. This understanding was only achieved in recent centuries with advancements in space exploration and atmospheric science. However, what astonished Sanjay was that the Quran had already alluded to this protective feature of the atmosphere more than 1,400 years ago. Dr. Naik quoted the verse from Surah Al-Anbiya 21:32, "And we made the sky a protected canopy, but they turn away from its signs." The Quran explicitly mentions how the sky, which refers to the Earth's atmosphere, serves as a protective cover for the Earth. This verse clearly alludes to the atmospheric layers that shield the planet from harmful cosmic elements. In modern science, we now know that the Earth's atmosphere is made up of gases like oxygen and nitrogen, which not only support life, but also block harmful solar radiation. For Sanjay, this was another example of how the Quran had described a scientific phenomenon long before humanity had the tools to understand it. Dr. Naik explained that such detailed and accurate knowledge could not have come from a human source. It was a divine revelation. The protective role of the atmosphere, as described in the Quran, serves as a reminder of the Creator's care and wisdom in designing the Earth in such a way that it could support life. The moment of realization came when Dr. Zakir Naik saw that Sanjay was no longer just passively listening. He was actively engaging, questioning, and reflecting on everything he had heard. Sanjay had come to the discussion with a singular question: can the existence of Allah be scientifically proven? What started as a challenge to Dr. Naik's religious beliefs had now transformed into a deep intellectual journey, where Sanjay was beginning to see the Quran not just as a book of faith, but as a source of divine knowledge that aligned perfectly with the principles of modern science. As Dr. Naik connected each scientific fact with its Quranic equivalent, Sanjay's mind began to shift. Every example, from the creation of the universe, the shape of the earth, the moon's reflection of sunlight, to the protection provided by the earth's atmosphere, was pointing to one undeniable truth: the Quran's knowledge was far ahead of its time. It wasn't just a book of religious wisdom, it was a book that encapsulated the scientific truths that humanity would only uncover centuries later. At that moment, Sanjay realized that no human being could have written the Quran, given the scientific understanding of the time. There had to be a divine source behind it, a source that knew the intricacies of the universe in a way that humans could only comprehend much later. This was the turning point in his spiritual journey, a moment that would change his life forever. Sanjay's skepticism began to crumble as the evidence mounted. He was forced to confront the realization that the Quran, with its astonishing alignment to modern scientific discoveries, could only have come from a higher power: Allah. Dr. Naik then posed one final question to Sanjay. If all of these scientific facts were revealed in the Quran over 1,400 years ago, and if they align perfectly with modern scientific discoveries, then what does that tell you about the source of this knowledge? Sanjay looked at Dr. Naik, his eyes wide open. He had no answer. But deep down, he knew that the only possible answer was that the Quran was indeed divinely revealed. The scientific facts, the logic, and the wisdom were too much to ignore. And then something incredible happened. Sanjay, the Hindu man who had come to challenge Dr. Naik with a question, stood up and said, "I believe. I accept Islam." The crowd erupted in applause. Dr. Zakir Naik had done what many thought impossible. He had proven the scientific truth of Islam in a way that left no room for doubt. Sanjay had come looking for evidence, and he found it in the most unexpected way. Dr. Zakir Naik's response to Sanjay's question was not just a scientific explanation, but a profound reminder that faith and science are not opposing forces. Instead, they are two complementary paths that ultimately lead to the same truth. As science continues to evolve and make groundbreaking discoveries, it only serves to reinforce the ancient wisdom contained in the Quran, truths that were revealed centuries ago, long before humanity had the tools to uncover them. This seamless alignment between modern scientific knowledge and the Quran's revelations highlights the divine origin of the Islamic faith. Dr. Naik's logical, evidence-based approach showed Sanjay that science was not something that contradicted religious belief, but something that could lead one closer to the Creator. This story of Sanjay's transformation is not an isolated case. It serves as just one example among many of how the truth of Islam is being uncovered through scientific discoveries. More and more individuals are coming to the realization that the Quran contains profound insights that align with the knowledge we have only recently uncovered. It's through this process of inquiry, logic, and knowledge that people like Sanjay are finding their way to faith. They are discovering that faith in God and the pursuit of truth through science are not mutually exclusive, but part of a larger journey to understanding the universe and our place within it. Sanjay's journey is not just a story of intellectual discovery, it is a profound narrative of faith, humility, and an unwavering willingness to seek the truth regardless of where it might lead. His story reminds us that the answers we seek are often closer than we realize, and that the pursuit of knowledge can sometimes unlock not only scientific truths but also spiritual awakening. It shows that even a single question, asked with sincerity and an open heart, can lead to a transformative moment that changes the course of one's life. In the end, Sanjay's transformation stands as a testament to the power of questioning, seeking, and discovering, not just for the sake of knowledge, but for the deeper purpose of finding the truth that connects us all.